I recently got engaged to my boyfriend of 3 years. For background, he's an oncologist, his parents divorced when he was 5. Mil never remarried or had more kids, but Phil did, and so fiancé has a younger half-brother and a stepmom. I have a BA and MBA from decent schools, but I quit my conventional office job to be a yoga teacher and eventually opened my own yoga studio. Mil was not outwardly hostile towards me, more like polite but very cold. She told fiancé it was because a yoga teacher wasn't good enough for him. Why couldn't he find a nice lady doctor or nurse at work, etc. Fiancé told me this because we don't keep secrets, but I never mentioned it to Mil. I just stopped trying so hard. She would periodically warn fiancé I was out for his money, because he's a doctor, he needs someone on the same level. What Mil did not learn until after we were engaged is that, through my grandfather, I have a substantial trust fund. I have 0 student loans, a paid-off home, car, and own my studio with no debt. I keep this information private from most people because I don't want to be judged for it. I didn't tell fiancé until about 15 months into our relationship. When we got engaged, she was telling fiancé he needs a prenup, and that's when he told her about my finances. She lost her mind. Told him he and I should not have withheld that information. We were disrespectful, deceitful, manipulative, etc. She then started trying to act like my best friend. I maintained a polite distance. She asked fiancé why, and he told her that I knew he didn't like me because a yoga teacher isn't good enough. Y'all, she turned on the waterworks, tears, sobs, said he should not have told me and that he ruined her relationship with her future Dil. I think she's full of it. His father and stepmom have been kind, accepting, warm and loving to me since the day we met. It didn't matter that I'm just a yoga teacher. His mother insists I and my fiancé are cruel and deceitful. I think people like her are the reason I am right to hide my financial situation. Fiancé thinks we should apologize just to smooth things over and clean the slate. I have no interest in doing so. Ida? Edit. For those asking, my fiancé would defend me when she insulted me. She did know I owned the studio but assumed that I financed with loans. He did not have my explicit permission to share my finances with her, but was so sick of her harping about a prenup he wanted to shut her up. As for all the advice about the prenup, that was always the plan, which my fiancé is obviously fine with. She's probably going to lose her mind. I've poked around on Jamil, and I think my fiancé is what his people refer to as a surrogate spouse to his mother. Another incident comes to mind where she started crying when he wanted to spend his birthday dinner on the day of his birthday with me instead of her and offered her the day before or after. That's clearly not healthy. Let me start this post by saying that I am a spoiled but hard-working person. I grew up with a single mom. Her and I left my hooch-dependent dad and traveled across 4 countries. When we left our home country, we had nothing. My mom worked multiple odd jobs to make ends meet. With hard work and perseverance, my mom gave us a good life and finally remarried when I was in middle school. Because it was always her and I matured faster than other kids. I took care of my mom as she took care of me. I also grew up spoiled because, although we didn't have much, my mom tried to give me the best life that she could. I grew up, went to a top college, worked, earned money, and am now in law school. I have a year and a half left in school, but have landed a job that will pay me 6 figures after graduation. I admit I am spoiled and like nice things. I drive a good car, that I bought and am paying off, I eat expensive food, I travel, and I own multiple brand name bags. This is me. 2 years ago I met my fiancé. He was in his last year of medical school at the time. We instantly connected and fell in love. He is my soulmate in every way. Our relationship progressed quickly but reasonably, considering we both had considerable dating experience. We moved in at 6 months and he proposed a month ago, just 2 weeks shy of 2 years. It was the happiest day of my life. Unfortunately, nothing is perfect. I have always felt that his parents did not like me. To list a few odd behaviors, the first time I met his parents, his mom, when we were alone together and after I had spent 2 hours accompanying them when my fiancé had a meeting, told me a story about her friend who has a doctor's son that married a woman that spends all his money. His parents check my Instagram relentlessly. They don't follow me, but is always one of the first people to see my story, meaning they are physically typing in my ID and searching for me. They look at who comments on my photos and have made comments to my fiancé about who/why some guys would comment on my photo. Stuff like, is that her ex-boyfriend? They have made disparaging remarks about my culture in my presence, seemingly having forgotten I was sitting there. They would realize I was there and quickly apologize. When my fiancé, BF at the time, told them he wanted to ask me to move in with him, they said no and we did it anyway. When he told them he was going to propose, they said no as well. They have said multiple rude/odd things. Once, my fiancé's mom saw him ask for a hug from me. She said, "You always asked for hugs from mommy when you were a kid, now you're asking for hugs from another woman." The list goes on and I put up with their erratic behavior. I continue to be respectful because that was how I was raised, and because I love my fiancé. I am so respectful that over vacation, a day after we got engaged and we went to spend Christmas with his family, I actively hid my ring under my shirts because I didn't want to cause any friction. Before Christmas, I spent my own money, $150, even though I am a student with no salary, and bought his mom a cashmere sweater because she asked for it for Christmas. During the holidays with his family, I cooked 3 meals a day, set up the table, cleared the table, and washed the dishes every day, with the help of my fiancé. I barely talked, even though I usually have a bright and loud personality. All because I didn't want to do anything to make his parents uncomfortable. I will also say that I treat my fiancé very well, as he does to me. When I was making money, I did not hesitate buying him expensive gifts or meals. Even though I am a student now, I continue to pay him rent and we split our food and grocery costs 40-60. He is in residency now, meaning he spends long hours at the hospital for very little pay. For his first year of residency, I had dinner cooked and set up every night when he came home. I even put out utensils and had his soda opened and ready. I say this to say I truly love him, I care for him, and have never cared about money. Because he doesn't make a lot, I told him to not spend a lot on my ring when we talked about engagement. He ended up spending less than $5,000 on my beautiful ring. It is 1.8 carat, looks huge, but is a lab diamond, making it cheaper. Which I never minded. Still, I realize today that everything I do is not enough. During the holidays, my fiancé told his mom about our ring and the cost. After I slaved for his family over Christmas break and we left, his mom told his sister that he must be lying. His mom was convinced he lied to her. She insisted he must have spent a fortune on the ring. She was so persistent that I must have made her son spend so much money that his sister had to pull up the website to show her the cost. They have also been difficult throughout the month of wedding planning. First, they said they're American and in America the bride pays for the wedding. They then didn't like our mid-March wedding date because they were afraid of snowstorms on the East Coast. When we gave 2 more dates in the 2 following weeks, his parents suddenly said they needed to check the Chinese calendar to make sure those dates are lucky. To no one's surprise, they didn't like the 2 options we gave even though the Chinese calendar didn't say those dates were unlucky. They wanted another date. My fiancé explained that we couldn't do a later date because I will immediately need to face finals, bar prep, bar exam, and my first year working as an attorney. Still, they would not cooperate and did not like the date for no apparent reason. Today, I am mainly hurt over this family's perception of me. I have tried my best to work with them, but they continue to see me as a monster. Ideas? TL, Dr. My fiancé's mom would rather believe her son lied to her than to believe I'm a good person who genuinely loves her son. A little bit of background: I'm 27 female, my husband is 42 male. He's pretty high ranking at a biomedical tech company and I'm an adjunct professor at the university where we live. So basically he makes a lot more money than I do and he has a job right now and my university has cancelled classes for the rest of the semester, so I've been spending quite a bit of time at home. I know what our relationship looks like. I know very well, I've been accused of being a gold digger many times. But it really isn't like that. We have a great relationship and I'm with him no matter how much money he has. I love him with my whole heart and I know he loves me the same. Anyways, his sister lives across the country and also has quite a bit of money, though a good chunk of hers is inheritance from my late father-in-law. I'll be honest, I don't think she's liked me much from the start. I guess I get it, she's trying to look out for her brother and make sure he doesn't get bled dry. But we've been married for a year now, and together for 2.5 total, so I guess I'd hope she'd be better by now. She's not usually openly hostile, just passive-aggressive comments sometimes. So we were FaceTiming with her last week to check in on her and make sure she's been holding up okay with everything going on, and I mentioned I wasn't doing much while my husband was at work. I don't remember exactly what she said, but basically something to the effect of, "Oh, you're one step closer to being a freeloading trophy wife." That's absolutely not true, and I have no control over my lack of work right now, so I kind of blew up at her. Basically called her some things I shouldn't have that are, in hindsight, pretty rude and offensive. I feel pretty bad that I threw a tantrum there and didn't handle it like an adult, but I was really sick of it. I know a lot of people post about crappy in-laws here, but I genuinely can't tell if I was TA for blowing up at her and not keeping it in control. My husband did stand up for me, but they're the only living family they have left, and we both agreed cutting her out of our life isn't the right move. I'm torn between feeling like crap and feeling justified. So Ida? Info, because someone asked, here's some of what I said to her. Called her a massive B, said she'd never worked for anything in her life because her dad had money, so who's the real gold digger here? Said she's just jealous because she doesn't have all of her brother's attention anymore. You know, the works, LOL.